Hello and welcome to the 29th Argos Community Call. Today we have with us Elli Papadopoulou, Product Manager of Argos, who will present the DMP evaluation, what does it mean and how we approach it in a semi-automatic way. A few housekeeping notes before we begin. During the presentation, please keep your microphones muted so we can avoid any background noise. For the Q&A session, feel free to unmute your microphones and turn on your camera if you wish to actively participate. And you're also welcome to submit your questions here in the chat or in our shared document, which will be posted in the chat. Please note that this session is being recorded and transcribed, and if you wish to participate in the Q&A but prefer to be excluded from the recording, let us know in the chat and we'll ensure your contribution is edited out. And with that, I will hand it over to Elli to start with her presentation. Elli, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Marily. Thank you so much. Apologies, I don't have a camera today. Hopefully that's not a problem. Let me also check this. Okay, good. Yes, so today the focus is on DMP evaluation, and we wanted to share with you a few of the things that we are doing in the OSTRS project, as well as invite you to the dedicated event that we're organizing, the dedicated webinar, which is
Elli, sorry to interrupt you. Are you sharing anything because we can't see your screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the more complete, let's say, webinar that we're organizing for the DMP evaluation, focusing on how funders perceive DMP evaluation to be and how the machine actionable DMP. So this informational profile from RDA can support semi-automation. For that, we are also organizing a survey. But before I go to the survey, I want to. Can you still see my screen? Because now I'm sharing a presentation.
Yes. We can see the whole PowerPoint window, though, if you would like to present that. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is very relevant to the previous, actually, webinar, because the previous webinar showed the Horizon Europe pilot that we are running in Australia. And there we have observed some, we have made some observation related to how templates are created today and how these templates can be structured to accommodate the DMP, the DMP common standard. So what are the things that we should change, let's say, in order to do so? Based on that and based on desk research that we performed, we have come up with this DMP evaluation framework that consists of these dimensions, as well as a prototype of a service that is not available yet, but will be coming next year. It will be released next year. The dimensions that I hope you cannot hear the background noise because there's construction here. Okay. In terms of the evaluation, the core dimensions that we're looking at are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are looking at whether the DMP is complete. So all the fields, the required fields from the template is have content, have some input, right? We look if the coverage with respect to research data management is sufficient. So what are the different data lifecycle stages and activities that are discussed in the DMP? the budget of the costs of these activities, the roles, the data management roles, but also data support roles that are involved in the whole life cycle of RDM. In terms of feasibility, we assess both some internal consistency of the input provided by users, but also if the repository is up and running, so it's available, the repository that we intend to deposit our data. If there are, for example, if the formats that we are going to deposit the data sets are compliant to what the repository can handle, can support for preservation and things like that. Now, openness, we of course look at whether there are open access conditions. For example, if the license that is referencing that's assigned to the data set is open. Similarly, if the protocol to exchange this data set is open, if there are data availability plans available, and any other types of restrictions that might hinder the possibility of fully open access sharing. Fairness, we are looking at whether the DMP is fair itself, so whether the DMP itself has DOI, license, and other is deposited in the repository. We are also looking at whether the data sets that are described on the DMP are fair themselves, whether the repository referenced is fair enabling, things like that we're looking at in this dimension. And under policy, we are exploring how, if the DMP cites any relevant policy. For example, for GDPR, if we're talking about personal data, if we're talking about some national project, maybe there is some national regulation that we can cite in the DMP, because this is what we took into account to handle the data, right? So these are the core dimensions that we are working on. And based on this, we have some metrics that reflect what I have just quickly shared with you, and descriptions of what that means, how we can measure, let's say this, like what are we looking at when we say content completeness, or when we say RDM lifecycle stages, we're looking at something very specific. So, and again, based on all of this, we are creating tests that are take as their input the DMP common standard to provide the evaluation that we want, for example, in terms of completeness. Of course, we have observed that the DMP common standard is lacking in some of the things that we have here in these dimensions. So we are looking at potentially enhancing it, if not at the level of the RDA as an OS Trails profile, so as an extension, let's say, to the DMP common standard of RDA. So we can support these operations. Now, we want community feedback, and for that, we have done internally our own exercise to see, and this is the exercise that we did, we looked at each dimension, the indicators, the metrics that we have, and we tried to understand. We tried to capture, let's say, our opinions of what we want. If we want something to be required in this SMART DMP evaluation framework that we are designing, if it's not required but nice to have, if it's not relevant, and we also looked at whether it can be automated or not, this evaluation. So we just ticked whatever we felt like this is more relevant to our research context and experience. That was the result. As you can see, these are from all the metrics, these are the 15 most prominent relevant to the research data management lifecycle, relevant to the quality of DMP. Sorry. And now, let me. Yeah, but I started. And now, before we open this survey to everyone, we wanted to know your feedback on what we have so far. For example, let me go back. You still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here we have the dimensions, some explanation of what the dimension is, and we simplified a bit the options to select from to have only 3. So we want to know if you feel that this is something that should be required for the DMP evaluation framework that we are creating. Not required, but nice to have anyways. Maybe in the future, it's something that we would like to see, or it's not relevant at all. As a first, let's say, from this first glance of this framework that I quickly presented, do you feel that it captures what the research data management practices and how DMPs are evaluated in your own institution or country? Okay. Yeah, so here is everything that I already shared with you that we are now implementing. But what does the DMP evaluation mean to you? Let me stop sharing my screen. Maybe we can have a discussion of what the DMP evaluation means to you.
I would like to add at this point that if you would like to be part of the discussion, please unmute and turn on your cameras. Thank you, Teresa. Would you like to start the conversation?
Yeah, hello. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Hi,
Yeah. So, as for Sweden, where I work, we have no national criteria for data management plans. We have a couple of recommendations, and we have some research funders who want to see data management plans, but they don't check them. basically. So that's very much up to the universities and research organizations and the departments, what kind of policies for data management plans they have. And the experience that I have, my limited personal experience, is that there is a variety of views. Some people really see a value in writing data management plans, and other researchers want to keep it at the lowest minimal level possible and spend as little time on it as possible. So yeah, in that situation, it is difficult to establish formal criteria. There is no European perspective, to my knowledge, at this point, and no ambition to comply with European-wide standards if it comes to data management plans. That might change in the future, but at this point, it is not. A personal comment, what I would like to see in data management plans based on our experience with research support is a closer link to scholarly communication, to the way how researchers publish, because it's the publications where we have data availability statements. In some fields, such for instance life science, a huge amount of data is shared as supplementary material that in no way is fair. If a data management plan could give a bit guidance also for opening up for new perspectives in scholarly or communication, how one can link sharing of data, FAIR principles, and scholarly communication a bit better, it might be possible to achieve some progress and a broader acceptance in the community. But this is all based on the very limited experience that I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Teresa. Yeah, I think, well, actually, I would like to know what the experience of others are present here. Maybe does this resonate with you also? I will start pointing to you. Sorry about that. Maybe Jose? How about your experience in your country? Or Sean?
Hi everyone, thanks. Yeah, I'm not really sure I can offer much of a detailed perspective. I know there's a lot of work going on at the national level, but that's being led by people who are not on the call, like Jenny O'Neill. And I know they recently actually circulated, let me see if I can find it in my email. They circulated a document, I think it's just for consideration at the Irish national level on behalf of HEAnet, which is the consortium which provides IT infrastructure to our universities, and they were looking for feedback about a framework for costing research data management at kind of an institutional level. So looking at data management plans and incorporating costings into the evaluation. Like how much is it going to cost? Is any particular action in the DMP, is it a once-off or is it an ongoing? Is it an ongoing cost? And if it's an ongoing cost, can it be incorporated into someone's existing workload, or would you need like a dedicated, say, data steward for it? So I know that.
Oh, that's very.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the conversation is at in Ireland. Frameworks, but also incorporating costings into the frameworks. because I guess, I mean, I'm not sure if this experience is shared across the participants in the call, but in principle, data management is attractive and it's accepted. But when it comes down to costing, that's when people tend to get a bit wary of it.
Yeah, actually, we didn't know that. Is this an official document that you can share, or is it something that is still ongoing?
You know, I will reach out to Jenny this afternoon
Okay.
and see if she's happy for me to share it with you. It was
Thanks
circulated.
so
Yeah, it was circulated. We have a research data network for research performing organizations and RFOs in Ireland. I'm sure she wouldn't have an issue. Be
Yeah,
happy
it
to
would be
double
nice if
check.
we could have it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
Thank
definitely
you.
do that. You're welcome.
And it's very relevant, yes, because one of the things that we are also looking at is costing. So might help also with the evaluation. Let's see. Sarah, how about you? And your perspective? Or Francesca? Anyone who would like to share their own experiences also from their own country or institution? Mara?
Yeah, I can say something for Italy.
Yeah, thank you.
As and there are a lot of other colleagues today connected, so maybe if they want, they can interrupt me and say something else. But in Italy, at national levels, we have a national plans for open science, but it's not really implemented. So we do not have any clear guidance from our ministry or from other high level part of the government. So we do not have any guidance on data management plan or on the evaluation of data management plan. What I can say is that we have quite a newborn Italian data stewards community that it's thinking about how to provide some guidelines on how to evaluate data management plans in a proper way, both at general levels and also at specific level, domain specific level. And that's why also we joined today this call that was very interesting. Even because I am a sort of data stewards in my institution, so I review a lot of data management plan, but a lot of times then researchers asks me who is going to evaluate then at European level when they submit the deliverable, who is going to evaluate their DMPs, and in most of the cases they do not receive any particular feedback from the project officers. So like Teresa said before, we do not have a clear vision of how the DMPs are evaluated. Probably the most interesting evaluation that our researchers is receiving is from the support of data stewards of their community, probably of their institutions. That is my my view of the data management plan evaluations at the moment. That's my my contribution.
I think there is as a response. Yes, there is.
Thank you. If it comes to the evaluation of data management plans, we face, in my personal view, a dilemma, because if we write a data management plan, we talk to many stakeholders. That's very different than writing a research proposal, because if you write a research proposal, it's very clear. We write to a funding organization and to the reviewers who evaluate the proposal. But a data management plan has many stakeholders on different levels. Yeah, we have on a higher level, we have the governments, we have the research organizations. Within the research organizations, we have different groups. We have the researcher and the research group are on their own and their collaborators and the research community around. And then we have publishers and journals, repositories, and all the groups in society. If one goes through the core requirements of Science Europe for data management plans, we see that many of these stakeholders groups are included in most sections. So that is one of the things that, in my experience, my personal experience, not general statement, makes it difficult for researchers to write data management plans because they need to talk to many stakeholders that they haven't talked before. They need also to be prepared to communicate during a project to these stakeholders, and they might not have any training for that. So, and then the stakeholders on their own, everybody has different priorities, and it's not easy to find a common sense. Yeah, so if one designs formal criteria for evaluating data management plans, likely it will be the criteria of one or two stakeholder groups. Yeah, and that is an intrinsic problem. So, for instance, we can say we want to assess fairness. Yeah, and we can do that. We have formal criteria for that. But then the lawyers might not agree with all aspects that go into fairness, for instance. The people who are responsible for information security might not agree with that either. Yeah, so that is just a reflection. It's not supported by a solid body of scientific research, just based on my personal experience. And yeah, but in my view, this is a challenge. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to all of you. Maybe if I can also add from a very recent workshop some outcomes that came last week. It was already last week, yes. we were at the SURF Research Day in the Netherlands, and we ran together with Leiden University and CWTS, we ran a workshop to share two things. One, what we're doing at Australs and how this, embraces the concept of DMPs at the technical level and how we can support researchers from that aspect. But also we looked at how platforms like Argos can support these connections that you also stressed there is with privacy officers, with ethics committees in the institutions, with data stewards, with researchers, with professors, and all this. So looking at these workflows, I'm looking now at the draft blog post that I shared earlier. It's not up yet, otherwise I would have also linked it here. Yeah, so let me see some of the discussion. They shared their data management ethics and privacy processes, and they are handling it differently in different institutions with using different systems, and there is little coordination, as you also said, Teresa. There's also some hesitation to, where is that? there's also some hesitation, although there's a clear need for these workflows to be integrated and be more clear for researchers. So how, for example, when to request the ethics report, when to start your DMP, when to do all of these steps. Although there is clear need, there is also some hesitation that's relevant to the systems used at the institutional level, and also to how this translates to how this scales up actually to the national level and European level. Because even if we do it, good in our institution, what does that mean then for our funder or for the European Commission as a funder? Yeah, so it seems that we all share a common issue, like common. We have common observations. Hopefully, this series of webinars where we will be inviting, in this one we will invite funders, but we will have another one to invite data stewards, so all of you, other one to invite researchers. So we are going to unravel, let's say one by one, the challenges and how we can tackle them with this framework. So hopefully by end of the June, we will have a better idea of how this evaluation, what evaluation means for funders, for example, since this was also a concern shared by you, Mauro. It would be good. Mauro is not here. Oh no, you're here. It would be good if you could also maybe share this invitation to your national funder. So because I don't think we have Italian. No, we don't have someone representing Italy. So maybe if you are, if you are connected, you could feel free to spread the invitation. It would be nice to have also a live discussion with everyone there.
Okay, I will try to. I'm not really sure on how to who to contact, but I will try to gather this information and let you know.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, same for everyone actually. If you want, please feel free to share with your national funders. Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you, Elli, and thank you, Teresa and Mauro, for sharing your perspective and your
And so,
experience. And some, yes, sorry. Are there any other thoughts or comments you would like to share? Please feel free. Otherwise, we hope to see you in the next OSRL webinars and in our next community call of Argos next month.
Can I also say something?
Yes, of course.
Please.
Yes, Vincenzo.
Vincenzo from University of Trento. I also belong to the community of data stewards with Mauro. I also have similar observations to those that have been already expressed during this call. In particular, I'm worried. So I was thinking about what exactly the tool will evaluate, in the sense that I can imagine that if you start from a well-structured data management plan that is machine readable, you can surely evaluate things like the presence of persistent identifiers or the fact that all fields have been filled in some way. But I'm worried about how things like policies can be evaluated, because as many of you already mentioned at this meeting, there might be institutional or national obligations that need to be fulfilled, and in the things that can be that needs to be done in certain context, and also in certain domains. I'm thinking to medicine and all those ethical and other protocols that needs to be fulfilled, can be checked in an automatic way. Also, the way by which interoperability is ensured in certain domains is completely different from others. So the usage of standards, which standard, and so a certain standard might be considered good enough in a certain domain and completely irrelevant in others. So maybe automatic tools can assess some of the issues and others not. So this is an open question. I don't know exactly how your framework works. So
Yes, thank you, Vincenzo. I added in the chat the GitHub page, the GitHub repository where we are working on the DMP evaluation service, and therefore also the rubrics and the criteria, the assessment criteria that revolve around them, that fits this this service. But essentially, what we are looking at is both one-to-one assessment. For example, does it have this yes/no? As you said, does it include this, for example, in the technical, whatever that trial, clinical trial maybe report is? Does it include a yes/no? But also, we are taking it in some cases one step further to like the feasibility that I shared before, where we see if, for example, the license that is used is machine actionable. It's not only does it have a license assigned to the dataset, but also is it machine actionable, or does the license fulfill the policy, let's say, set by the consortium? Let's say that we all said that we are going to publish everything under CC BY. Is this happening at the end when we find the publication? So we try also to how to say, to touch our feet on the impact of things, let's say, the impact of the practices. I see Teresa. Teresa, you want to comment on that also?
Well, thank you. May I please change topic for a moment? I have a request. I would very much appreciate a discussion and ideas how we could design data management plans that they can assist researchers in planning their publications. Because publications is something that is very important for all researchers. Yep, and they are really interested in it. I'm not sure here in Sweden we have a situation where data management and scholarly publications are different topics. They are not coordinated, and my view is that this is a disadvantage, because if you have this situation, any additional demands on data management, fair data, are an additional burden for the researchers who struggle to get their publications out, to get new grants, to get prolonged employment if they have no faculty positions, and all those sorts of things. So a way to make better progress might be to try to align these fields a bit better. I have analyzed now in my field, in the field of life science, set of publications. And my preliminary impression is that the way how researchers write their articles, how they share their results, has not changed since the late 90s. And in that way, open science is not really going to work. The fact that now most publications have open access is great, but it does not change the way how researchers write and plan their publications. So to make better progress with open science, that might be a point that is worthwhile to consider. So that would be a suggestion and a request. And I would very much appreciate any thoughts and ideas about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa. That's an interesting approach. I have some questions. When you say better planning for publications, do you mean also what you said before, that you would like to see these connections from the planning?
Yes, yes.
With the publisher, for example?
Yeah, I think publishers are a topic where I don't know how to approach it. Yeah, because now I'm not talking in general, but basically we see two patterns. We have researchers who work with personal data and sensitive data, and they don't share their data because they are protected. Yeah. And in that case, we might just find the data availability statement that data would be available on a reasonable request from the corresponding author. And that's it. There would be better ways to do that, but I'm not going into those details now. Another scenario that we see is that really huge amounts of data, not so much raw data, but processed data and visualizations of data are shared through supplementary material or in an appendix. There are different names for that. And there's a number of disadvantages with that because there is no license. In some cases, the publisher retains right on the supplementary material. All these data are not fair. And so on. So, yeah. So, data management planning in a way to assist how to use repositories to improve that might be a way to make some progress. I also see a need that repositories, at least some repositories, approach the researchers and offer a broader way to share data. So so I stop here. Sorry.
Okay. No, my only concern is that the publishing world is, well, at least the one that asks for data availability statements and for for our signature to basically hold some of the rights, right, of our copyrights. This world is monetary, so it's not...
Yes, yeah. I think there's that's a big topic.
Yeah.
And there's no easy solution to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The systems are proprietary, so it's not easy to connect to. So it's a different world, let's say, which doesn't mean that we cannot, have these nice ideas, but it's challenging to implement things.
Yes, it is. Yeah. it is challenging. I just suggest that this would be a point where one could try to make changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
To it, let's say, assumed as a hypothesis, if we assume that researchers just have too little knowledge of the opportunities that good repositories offer, there would be a potential to make a change, and a data management plan could give some guidance for that.
I see. So
I just suggest to bring scholarly publication and data management a bit closer to each other, and not to change the world. That is too difficult for us.
I see. So I think, okay, I think I understand now. You mean don't write a data management plan in isolation of the publication that these data sets that you are describing in the DMP support the findings, but have them like bring them closer so that when I go and publish the paper and they ask me for the data, then I know that the good practice is to go to a repository and add them there so that they are fair, rather than giving them as supplementary material to the publisher. Is this correct?
Yes, that is that would be something that might help to achieve some progress. And I think there are also ways to make protected data accessible on request. So it's not easy going, but it's possible. And we have done that. So also that could be included in the outline of a paper of planning scholarly publications. Yeah, so that might be an approach that we could discuss in the community. And yeah.
I think it's very relevant what the NASA has. Maybe you can have a look there. For the Open Science Data Management Plan, and Sharing, they call it some. I have to find it. NASA DMP entry, because they introduced this sharing approach. Not exactly how you put it, but I will find it and I will share it. We will share it with Marilee with the follow-up email that we're going to send after the community call finishes.
Yes,
But,
we'll include it.
Yeah, but I'm in favor of that also, specifically because that way you not only you can ensure that best practices are followed, and you better support researchers and yeah, so that they don't share their copyrights, for example, even for data, but also because in tier 2, in this project that is about reproducibility, we're also looking at what are the aspects that we might be missing from the DMP that can point to best practices, but also an outcome of this would be, if you are following the best practices, it would be to have reproducible science at the end. And one of the things that we're missing is, for example, the reference to the publication that these data sets are created about, and some key information, but there is some, let's say, relevance with what you were saying here, Teresa. So I agree that we somehow need to extend towards. Okay.
Well, this was a really interesting session with really nice conversations and thoughts, and this is what we really want to have in our community call, so we can listen to our community and users, our future users, thoughts and requests. So if there are not any other thoughts or comments that you'd like to say, we can close today's session and hope to see you in our next webinars, as we said, for Australis, and in our next community call at the end of June.
Yes, and
Thank
if
you,
there's
Elli.
anything in the meantime, argos@open.eu, please send us an email and we
Thank you,
can-
everyone. Thank you,
Thank you.
Elli.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.